Welcome back to 15 Lanes Talk Game Week 9 preview show. Chelsea are targeting for the second spot on the table as they host Sunderland. Manchester United looking for their third consecutive win in the Premier League as they host Brighton. Liverpool will be looking for their first Premier League win as they host Brentford at the Anfield after suffering 3 back-to-back defeats. Arsenal will try to solidify their spot on the top of the table again as they host a stubborn Crystal Palace, whereas Man City will be trying to close the gap on top of the table as they visit Aston Villa at the Villa Park. Let's go. Chelsea versus Sunderland. Some of the biggest talking points in this game are: we saw last week Chelsea humbling and embarrassing Nottingham Forest, which led to the sacking of Ange Postecoglou. We all knew that Ange Postecoglou needed that game so that he could stay as the Nottingham Forest boss. But it went from bad to worse as Chelsea humbled Nottingham Forest. And also Sunderland in the same week humbled Wolverhampton. Both Chelsea and Sunderland have 14 points. Chelsea is number 5, whereas Sunderland is number 7, which means the goal difference is the one that's separating both teams, which means the team that wins this game between Sunderland and Chelsea is most likely to move on top of the table, like to second or third, if the other opponents drop their points, whereby this match is an early kickoff, which means one of the two teams that wins this game will be second as we wait for other matches. And we saw in midweek as Chelsea were humbling Ajax 5-1 in the Champions League. It was a very comfortable win for Chelsea. And there were a lot of positive things in that game, but the guy who stood out was Caicedo. And also, Gittens got an assist, his first assist for Chelsea in the Champions League. You know, Chelsea signed Gittens from Borussia Dortmund, but since he was signed, he has been really quiet. He has not made that noise. He was signed for around £50 million, but he has not made the impact everyone expected him to make. You understand? And also, Garnacho left Manchester United going to Chelsea. He's looking for freedom, but still he has not also found his spark there. Is he going to find his spark against Sunderland? Is he going to show that I'm Garnacho? And is he going to start this game against Sunderland? Caicedo is the guy to watch this time around. The guy has been really good for Chelsea, most especially in that midfield. And him, when they pattern him with Romeo Lavia, because Lavia has a problem of fitness, but if they pattern them together, if Lavia is fit, I think Chelsea will have one of the best midfield because both those guys are press resistant. Manchester United versus Brighton. Both teams last week they won as Brighton humbled Newcastle 2-1 and Manchester United also humbled the mighty Liverpool 2-1. So both teams are going in this game with high confidence, high momentum. But are we going to see Manchester United finally winning 3 games in a row under Ruben Amorim? Or is Brighton going to put a dent in their winning momentum? We will wait and see as everything unfolds on Saturday between Manchester United and Brighton. Manchester United is 9th on the table, whereas Brighton is 10th on the table. One team has 13 points, whereas the other team has 12 points. So this is also going to be a very difficult fixture for both teams because any team that wins this game, it will move up on the table. You understand? So are we going to see Manchester United keeping their winning momentum, or are they going to fold under Brighton? You understand? But you know, Bryan Mbeumo, one of my best players right now in the Premier League. Are we going to see Bryan Mbeumo again carrying Manchester United? You understand? Matthias Cunha, his form is worrying. You understand? And are we going to see Benjamin Sesko back in the squad for Manchester United? Because even Arne Slot complained about Manchester United changing their squad and dropping Benjamin Sesko for Matthias Cunha because against Liverpool, Matthias Cunha is the one who started as the striker, and Andy Slot complained that why did they change? We thought like Sesko is the one who is going to start, blah blah, full week, blah blah. Yeah, he was crying. So are you going to see Sesko back in the squad for Manchester United because he had picked up some form? He had scored the 2 goals back to back. So is he going to start this game against Brighton? And Matthias Cunha, will he be dropped? Because we know right now Robin Amorim favors Mount. You understand? A lot. And Lamens going to keep Lamens going to keep the standards high again against Brighton? Yeah, we shall just wait and see what happens that day. Liverpool versus Brentford. We also last week Manchester United humbling Liverpool at the Anfield for the first time since 2016. You understand? And Brentford humbled West Ham. So Brentford is coming in this game against Liverpool with very high confidence, whereas Liverpool is also trying to get their first win in the Premier League after suffering back-to-back defeat 3 times. Are we going to see Liverpool finally getting their win in the Premier League, or are we going to see Brentford destroying Liverpool's confidence again? Because we saw Arne Slot in Champions League after their win against Frankfurt. He said Frankfurt is the first team that played open football, and they were not playing they were not playing high football. They were not going long like most teams they have faced recently. So it was easy to press Frankfurt than to press the previous teams Liverpool were facing. So is also that a clue that Brentford can use that to win against Liverpool at Anfield? And if Brentford beat Liverpool at Anfield, Liverpool would have lost back-to-back games at Anfield, and it will be like Liverpool have also lost 4 games in a row in the Premier League. Imagine they were the title contenders to win the league this season like the past 3 weeks, but right now things have changed. You understand? So Liverpool play Isaac and Eketike in the 4-4-2 formation where they dropped Salah. You understand? You know Salah has not been performing for Liverpool in these recent matches. Yeah, he has been struggling a lot, and even when he came on against Frankfurt, we saw he had one chance that he had to pass to Florian Wirtz to get his first goal, but he decided to go for glory and he missed. And Florian Wirtz, finally, he got his assists, but against German teams, we all know that he shined in German. So when he faced them, he had to get those assists. You understand? And the way we saw Frankfurt was set up in that game, they were wide open even. Arne Slot talked about it in his press conference. So we don't know, is Brentford going to be open as Frankfurt? You understand? And if you see Frankfurt's recent matches, they were struggling. They were only scoring them overs. You understand? Overs each match Frankfurt was playing. So it's not a surprise that they were beaten by Liverpool like that terribly. And Isak is still struggling. You understand? Isak is still struggling. It's like, as I told you, Isak may be the new Andy Carroll. No deal between Liverpool and Newcastle has ever been of any good. Yes, any player that comes from Newcastle to Liverpool, they always struggle. Yeah. Frimpong in that game, we saw Frimpong leaving that match with an injury, yeah, and hamstring injury, and which means Conor Bradley is the one who will play. So, but that win of Frankfurt may be one of the confidence booster Liverpool may come with heading into the Brentford game. So we will see what will unfold in that game. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. We also Arsenal last week solidifying their position on top of the table by going 3 points clear ahead of Manchester City with a 1-0 defeat against Fulham. And on the other side of Crystal Palace, they had to make a comeback against Bournemouth. Yes, against Bournemouth, and the game ended 3-3. So are we going to see Arsenal keeping their winning momentum going into this game against Crystal Palace, or Crystal Palace is going to try to put a dent in Arsenal's title charge? Because in recent fixture, even last season, we saw Crystal Palace putting a dent in Arsenal's title hopes. Crystal Palace has been one of those teams that have been a hard nut to crack for Arsenal. Under those teams, we had like Newcastle, we had Nottingham Forest, we had Fulham and West Ham plus Crystal Palace. So is Arsenal finally going to crack Crystal Palace and go and try to solidify their position on top of the table, or Crystal Palace is going to try and try to make everything hard for Arsenal again? And we saw Arsenal dominating Atletico Madrid, even though they had a heavy squad rotation whereby they brought in Martin Lewis Kelly, who provided an assist to Martinelli. He had to drive he had to drive from the center to go and run like 80 yards to give an assist to Martinelli, who is also now a rotation player, because right now Trossard is the one who starts on the left wing for Arsenal in favor of Martinelli. Arsenal have to worry about Mateta, because Mateta is one of those guys who is on form. Against Bournemouth, he scored an hat-trick to bring back Crystal Palace in the game. And are we going to see Mateta ending Arsenal clean sheet streak? You understand? Because Arsenal have now 9 clean sheets in the row out of 12 games played in all competition. Is Mateta going to finally end that streak, because he's the guy on form? And last season, we saw how he scored that goal against us, though. He came off the bench and chipped Raya. You understand? So is he going to do the same this time around? We don't know. We'll wait and see what happens. And Eberechi Eze will be facing Crystal Palace for the first time. And are we going to see Eberechi Eze getting his first goal for Arsenal in the Premier League, or are we still going to wait? Against Atletico Madrid, we saw Victor Gyökeres getting back on the score sheet with 2 goals. You understand? Maybe he's going to go to this match of Crystal Palace with a lot of confidence. You understand? So we are going to wait and see if Victor Gyökeres is going to get back on the score sheet in the Premier League, because he has gone like 6 games in the Premier League without scoring a goal. So is he going finally to get back on the score sheet for Arsenal, or is he going to misfire again? But I think with that confidence he got in the Champions League, it may help him. The goals he scored in the Champions League, they were not that good, but at least you need those as a player. You need those to get your confidence up there, because confidence is key. Aston Villa versus Manchester City. Both teams won last week, and Manchester City also went ahead to win in the Champions League. You understand? So both teams are going in this game trying to keep the momentum, their winning momentum, to see like Manchester City will try to close the gap on top of the table, and also Aston Villa will try to close the gap on the table. You understand? For those European positions. But are we going to see Aston Villa trying to stop Haaland? Because we all know right now Haaland is in the form of his life. He's in the Haaland universe. He's in the Haaland era. You understand? Right now, every game he's scoring, in every game, even in the Champions League, he scored. He's literally calling Manchester City at this moment. Haaland is like Van Persie, Harry Kane, Sanchez during their time when Van Persie was at Arsenal, when Sanchez was at Arsenal, and Harry Kane during his time at Spurs. You understand? Every game you had to expect that these guys had to score. You understand? Now Haaland is in that moment. Every time at least he's carrying Manchester City. When he's on the pitch, you know he's going to score. You understand? This is one of the worst Manchester City squad. They are relying on Haaland, and even Guardiola decided to change his tactics, because Man City right nowadays they go low. They no longer do a lot of possession. You understand? Many people are not involved in the play. They go along for Haaland so he can fight with the defenders, he can cause damage. We saw one of the goals against Brentford, the other side, and all the goals he has been scoring this season. So are we going to see Aston Villa stopping that man? And he has already scored 6 in 6 consecutive Premier League games, 6 consecutive, and he's aiming for the Vardy's record of scoring in 11 Premier League games. So are you going to see Haaland scoring in 12 Premier League games consecutive? Because right now the guy is on the form of his life. seasons, Villa have been a very strong side at their park. You understand? No team has beaten Villa since 2025 started. No team has beaten Villa at the Villa Park. So they have had a very good record at the Villa Park. But on the other hand, Villa haven't beaten Manchester City since 2013. Yes, and we know that historical comeback when Manchester City needed to win the league. They faced Villa in the final game of the season. Villa led the game like 3-1, and Manchester City finally made a comeback where they won the league. So anything can happen in this game. Manchester City is going to try to close the gap on top of the table, whereas Villa is also going to try to get a win so they can also close the gap for the European positions.